All right. Well, we have a very special and very timely show for you. A special edition here of Mountaineer Report. I am Mike Asti, and I'm pretty excited about this one. I shot him a quick text for official congratulations just last night, and then we got together and said, why don't we have you jump on and do a show and really tell a little bit more maybe than all the fans know, even though everyone kind of knows his story, talk a little bit of now what's going on. And it's just a special year it's going to be for my guest here, as not only is he being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, but his coach is now back as the head coach of the Mountaineers. It's actually going to be a celebration that will lead into his 40th birthday. So what a year 2025 is going to be for my guest. And there he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Steve Slaton, or you may call him Super Steve if you're a longtime fan of the Mountaineers. And I am going to give you your proper flowers and read a little bit here of what you accomplished as a Mountaineer, because as I said, it's worthy and it is now going to be enshrined in the College Football Hall of Fame, already, of course, a WVU Sports Hall of Famer, but amassed 3,923 rushing yards, an average of 5.9 yards per carry, 50 touchdowns on the ground in your career as a Mountaineer, 65 receptions for 805 yards, a consensus All-American in 2006, obviously a part of some of the program's greatest teams in the program history, the record of 33-5 for the Mountaineers with Steve Slaton on the team is ridiculous to say the very least. Of course, BCS Bowl championships, Big East conference titles, and tons of memories. He was doing it big when I was a student at WVU. We've done some professional things over the years. I've jumped on his show, gave us some quotes, done things for us. So now I want to have you on here for this moment. So, Steve, obviously, congratulations. How's it been, man? We're not even 24 hours since you got the official word.
Oh man, no, it's beautiful. Like I said, even we spoke. It's still hard to even put in words right now. I'm still just living off the high right now.
I'm sure. How did you officially find out? Now, obviously, the official announcement came out with the Football Foundation officially announcing the rest of the class. Nick Saban got his little early announcement before a playoff game a couple weeks ago, live there on game day. I'm imagining you might have got tipped off. How did you officially find out? Maybe not. Did someone call you? Did you just find this out on social media with the fans?
No, I found out with the fans.
Okay.
It was just funny about that. But I was supposed to get a football announcement at my door, but they sent it to the wrong address, so I didn't get the football.
Oh wow, that's hilarious.
I was sitting in the house. I was sitting in my house, and my phone was blowing up. Like, why the hell is my phone blowing up? And it's just like, oh, this is. So I talked to the media people at West Virginia to confirm it. So it was definitely. I mean, I enjoyed that way, to find out when everybody else found out.
So one of your neighbors, like, did you talk to them and be like, hey, like, you didn't get in the Hall of Fame, it's me. I'm sorry that you had this door knocking.
Well, yeah, I move in silence with my neighbors, so my neighbors don't really know nothing.
I get that. That's kind of the Steve Slaton way.
I'm just a good neighbor. They don't know me.
Okay, but that's really funny. I almost want to talk to them. I imagine what that door knocking was like, but I figured there was something like that.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea that was going to be the day, though? Were you waiting for it? Because, I mean, honestly, your numbers. You were obviously going to likely get in here. Or were you not even aware and just living your life?
Well, yeah, just living my life. I feel like in June when all the electees got announced, I felt that eventually I didn't think this soon, because even like this class that I'm in is even crazy to mention all the names. Like I tell people all the time, I'm a fangirl at the announcement at the dinner. I'm fangirl. I'm bringing memorabilia. I'm gonna get Nick Saban. I'm gonna get Urban Meyer. I'm gonna get Strahan. I'm gonna get Michael Vick. But even Michael Vick, I'm probably having more conversation with him because
I imagine
I played quarterback at the time. I wore number 7. I wore his shoes in high school. So I'm a fanboy out.
Have you met Vic? Yeah, you fanboy obviously, but yeah, fangirling works. Everyone gets that. Have you met Vic before? Because obviously, I knew that you kind of grew up loving him. And
no, I actually never had the chance to have face to face with him. So, I mean, this is a hell of a time to have one, right?
Yeah, that's going to be really, really cool. I'm sure he's aware of you, but that's going to be very, very cool. It's too bad you're kind of WVU Virginia Tech didn't fully overlap. Obviously, he was before, but still very cool. Steve Slaton here on Mountaineer Report, WV Sports Now, College Football Hall of Famer. We can officially say that for Super Steve. So I do want to, talk to you a little bit about your career, even in the college football landscape today, because obviously it's way different than when you were playing in many respects, and even your coach, coming back. That was probably cool to see the video from Rich Rod and have him back at this point. Hopefully that's capping off a solid year for year one for him, because that's going to be kind of right at the end of that. You're kind of going to know how that year went when everyone's celebrating you at the Hall of Fame. But is there anything about your story, aside from your high school success, growing up loving Vic, position change? I know you talked a lot about how you got your scholarship pulled from Maryland. You end up at West Virginia. That's been well documented. But is there anything about your story, especially the beginning part of your story, do you think people don't know, or you want to make sure that you let everybody know?
I think the biggest part of my story is the Maryland thing. But no, I feel like the biggest part, if I'll tell anybody, is, it within self-doubt, just believe in yourself, because the work you put in. You know what type of time you need to put in. If you need to put more, you need to put less. You got to believe in yourself, because that was one of those things to where I give credit to West Virginia and Bill Karlavich, who was my recruiter, to where they were very honest, to where lots of schools weren't upfront to where they're going to change my position. But Bill Karlavich came in West Virginia, was like, we want you to play running back. We got this guy, Jason Gwantley, coming in, and they still gave me an opportunity to. So that was, that being foremost and being honest to, was like, I knew I had an uphill battle.
Yeah, and that's kind of even what Rich Rod's telling players now, not handing anything to you, but here's an opportunity, and I believe in you and want you to come aboard. You mentioned that Maryland situation, having the scholarship pulled and James Franklin's involvement in that, and how late that happened, and then you get to West Virginia and all the other schools wanting to change positions, and you end up becoming the greatest running back in West Virginia history. It's debatable, but I think that's the case. I know Amos Zaraway and others, people can bring up others, but I definitely think it's you. Anything that you think people don't know about that scenario, or anything else you want to get out there about that scenario? Because it's mostly well documented, but that for people that are even younger fans, or don't fully understand the dynamics, having a scholarship pulled at that point in that era was a bigger deal, especially if you wanted to be a running back. If West Virginia didn't come aboard, you kind of could have got screwed. You weren't this incredible big name coming out of high school. How do you feel about that looking back? And is there anything else you want to say on that scenario? Because that started things off, and that created the original self-doubt, and then you were able to take that and become a Hall of Famer and persevere and become this inspirational story now for anybody, any walk of life.
I think as anybody in life, not just with sports, but you have those moments to where your determination has to ignite, right? You have to, hey, you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong. And that was the moment for me that it was always in the back of my head. Even I think I had a conversation with somebody, like the first game we played Maryland, I didn't get to play against them, but it's like I wanted to. I wanted that chance to show them, like, hey, listen, this is, you got that animosity built up to where it builds into that determination to show you you're wrong.
I felt it when I was on your show before the Penn State game, before the first Penn State game. You even had it still a little bit of James Franklin, even though you couldn't play. I feel like if you were given another day of eligibility, you wanted to get out there at your age now and just go as James Franklin.
James got to see me. We never spoke. I don't know if anybody ever asked him a question, but he got to see me. Yeah, we gotta have a conversation, and I mean we'll laugh about it, but listen, we all make mistakes, but I want to know, show live and prove that you made a mistake. But he didn't make a mistake, because I'm not. I was where I was supposed to be.
Yeah, well, he did make a mistake because you became a Hall of Famer, and that wasn't the case at that point. Even though obviously Franklin individually has had success now at Penn State, but maybe not so much for Maryland right now. How did you find out about that, though? Did James? You said you need to see him. You haven't talked to him. There's a lot of misreporting about that entire scenario still. Did James Franklin call you and explain to you that you weren't good enough and that motivated you, and then West Virginia contacted you and you got to be a Mountaineer? Did you just have the pooling, and it was maybe by an assistant? I mean, obviously Franklin was an assistant at that point. He wasn't the head coach, but was it by another assistant? How did that go down? That because I know from what I've heard, it wasn't handled the best.
Oh no, it was handled like bullshit. It was bullshit. it was no. How I found out, even being young, I found out from a reporter. Somebody from Maryland called me and was asking me if it was true that I didn't have a scholarship. Me, I'm like, no, I have a scholarship. So, like I said, that's why I said I want to see James. I want to talk to him because he's ducking and dodging me for a couple weeks.
That's before social media and all that too.
Yeah. So I called. I was calling his phone, calling his line, trying to get a hold of him, and I couldn't get through. And then finally, when I did talk to him, he was just like, "Hey, yeah, we're going to draft this, or not draft, but we're going to recruit this other kid. But if we have a scholarship on signing day, we'll give you one." So that to me was just like, oh, the utmost disrespect, because it's like, I'm putting my my college career on the line for you.
And when was this? Wasn't this early December, or was this?
It was like 4 months out before the signing day. So it was a big deal to me.
It was earlier in the calendar, but still,
No, it was early enough to where, I honestly, I don't know who the reporter was, but I appreciate him because I would have been out of luck if I would have waited for signing day and then find out to get that news. So I appreciate that reporter. I can't remember his name, but like I said, James, I gotta meet James. We got some smoke to talk about.
Maybe he'll be there. Maybe he'll be busy coaching his team still. I would imagine at that point in the year, at least he hopes so.
Well, he at home now, right? Yeah, home.
He is at home. He's at home right now. Yeah, he's not preparing for national championship. No, he's at home right now. He did get the recent victories, obviously, over West Virginia, but you weren't there. You never really got a chance at James Franklin in particular with you on the field, I guess. But that's interesting. So you've never really had that conversation with him in 20 years.
No, not that. Yeah. Okay. If I'd have been, we would have won. I'd have been pointing at him. I'd have been on his neck.
Very, very upsetting. We never really fully got that scenario, to be honest with you. Steve Slaton here, Mountaineer Report, WVU Sports Now. Mike Asti. We are talking with the newly minted College Football Hall of Famer. Maybe not fully minted yet, but he's going to be inducted early December of 2025. Getting the news just a day ago from when we're recording this. Now, you eventually burst on the scene as a Mountaineer and obviously became a Hall of Famer and put some major numbers up. Before we get to your exit and that, which you've talked about recently as well, anything about your career that you think fans don't know that you want them to know, behind the scenes stuff that maybe you want to get out there? Everyone knows the yards and knows the moments and knows that run. And knows the highlights from Steve Slaton, knows the bowl game success, but is there anything else that you think people don't know?
I would tell people, I don't think people don't understand how hard work it was, or how much you had to blood, sweat, and tears you put into it.
The hard edge way.
The hard edge way, like with Rich Rod's way, Mike Barr's way. It was a lot, but that's what made those years so incredible and those teams so incredible, because of the things that we had to do, the hard work we had to put in to get to those places. Like you said, with 33-5, like those 5 losses, I mean, I would do those hills 1,000 times over to erase those losses, but they happen. But it's one of the hardest things I've ever been through in my life.
I'd absolutely imagine made you hard edge for life. If you can get through that with Rich Rod. Was there any moment though during that? Because you talked about, the mental strength that you had to have to really know that you could do this, to be determined. James Franklin pulling the scholarship without kind of maybe handling that the best and having to motivate yourself at West Virginia. Was there ever a moment, especially early on, that you thought to yourself, I can't do this hard edge thing. I'm not going to be a Hall of Famer. Like I can't. Did you give us more about that self-doubt? Because I think a lot of fans probably hear that from Steve Slaton and think he never looked to me like he couldn't get it done. but it sounds like maybe you had some self-doubt at times.
There was a time, I feel like I don't think I ever said this, but there was a time that I wanted to transfer.
Okay. When was that?
Before the Virginia Tech game. Like,
okay.
because I wasn't redshirted, so I felt like I was wasting a year not playing.
I hear that. Okay.
Wasn't getting any playing time, so it was just like I'm wasting this year away. I might as well go somewhere I can play.
Okay.
But things changed for my favor. But those things of doubt. It wasn't doubt in myself. It wasn't doubt in the program. It was doubt of how I was being utilized. I felt to where I wasn't getting any time. Like I think. The only game I played was Wofford. And it was just like, those are tune-up games you have.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where it's like, I'm wasting this year. If this is the beginning of the year, if this is a sign to come to where it's like, I might as well just leave to where I can go somewhere and play.
Was that serious? Like, did you put feelers out to other schools? Or were you just thinking about it?
I was just thinking about it to where it's just like, man, this sucks. I'm not playing.
Okay.
But I didn't go through because at that time the transfer portal is you had to sit out a whole year.
Yeah, I was going to get there. Yeah.
So that was
but imagine that, and maybe that's a story for players today, that if the transfer portal existed at that time. Now, obviously, now there's windows, so you couldn't necessarily officially enter at any time in the year. But if there were windows, do you think, looking back on younger Steve Slaton, that we wouldn't have seen what we saw and you would have entered that transfer portal?
I think my mom and dad would have been like, "No, you're good. Like, stay here. Like,
okay,
wait your turn." I think that would have, cooler, calmer heads would have came. I think as as a young teenager, you just want to play. That's why you're there. That's what you do. I think because I wouldn't have made any decisions without my parents' blessing. So I think where that would have came down like, just sit down and wait. You'll be all right.
I also think that the coaches kind of knew what they had in you, even if maybe they didn't let you loose and unleash you right away. And, they might have just sat you down like, Steve, please reconsider this. We're going to eventually let you be you. And obviously they did. Steve Slaton, Mike Asti here, Mountaineer Report and WVU Sports. Now, we talked about the transfer portal and maybe if you would have utilized it at that point. What are your thoughts on the current landscape of college football, where it's basically the NFL? And it's even more chaotic because you have the transfer portal, you have the windows, there's multiple, you have them before bowl season really gets underway. Teams, you mentioned Penn State, they lost their backup in the midst of a playoff run that could have been an issue, but the kid had to go because of the academic calendar and getting himself to a solid spot. You have the spring portal. If people lose out on starting jobs, maybe, that first year you did, and maybe you would have entered even at that time before you even get to the Virginia Tech game. And that's kind of being fair to the kids. You have 30 days if a coaching change happens, which obviously West Virginia just dealt with. They saw players leave, but you also can gain players. And there's also absolutely times where a coach sits down a player and says, I'm asking you to kind of go to the portal, as almost as a professional releasing situation. It does go both ways. What are your thoughts on the portal existing and how the portal is run right now? Does it need changed? Is it too chaotic? Are players abusing it that some people do criticize them for? Is this just fairing it up the way it used to be? What's an old school Hall of Famer think of the current situation with college football? Because as you know, a lot of fans hate the portal.
I have a lot of thoughts on it because there's only so many schools, right? But there's a lot of kids in the portal. And I think to where the kids go in the portal is that you're running from competition that you're going to face again. Like I think certain kids, not all kids, but a lot of kids are running into the portal just to become starters somewhere else.
Yeah.
But that's not the norm. That's not life. To where if you're afraid of competition at the school you're at, you're going to face competition somewhere else in your life. And the other kids, I think, as far as the transfer portal, that you see guys that are, well, I think a lot of kids now are chasing the bag.
Oh yeah.
They're chasing money, which
Yeah.
I don't think is a bad thing, but an overall decision for your football career is a bad thing, because when you get the NFL, it don't work that way. It ain't gonna work that way. So it's not you ain't gonna be, oh no, you're gonna have to sit down, you have to wait. Yeah. And the one thing about being an NFL and college is, film is the overall equalizer. If you don't got no film, you have no worth.
Yeah.
You have no worth to where you're demanding to go to another school, and you don't know what young kid they brought in or what recruit they're bringing in. That I think certain kids, I would say, a testament to hard work and not scared of competition is Jared Brown.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's that Jared Brown has so much talent. Yes, he could have went somewhere else, but he stood in the program. He stood behind Pat. He learned, and he had a great year. But I think a lot of these kids are, like I said, chasing the bag. They're just scared of competition.
Yeah,
they're scared to go to work.
Yeah, and to be fair, for a present day example, Nico Marchiol is kind of that as well. He came to West Virginia. He lost out in a battle to Garrett Green. He's still staying. People thought he was going to transfer each of the last 2 years. He's still there doing the hard edge thing. We'll see what the future holds, but you give kids credit for doing that. Do you think we need to have the portal, though? Do you like having the portal, even if kids are making wrong decisions in some people's mind? Because as you mentioned, you didn't have the portal in your day. And even though obviously we all know there were backdoor deals and, money was exchanged, it's going back to 50, 60 years ago. There's movies about it, but there wasn't the portal, as you mentioned. Even if someone's offering you a bag, you have to sit out. That would have been a big thing. Now that's not the case. Do you need the portal? Would you wish the portal would go away to preserve kind of what college football was, so these kids have to stay? Do you want to see a change in windows? I don't know if you saw, but just a couple of days ago, the FBS coaches voted to shrink the portal to have it, but shrink it instead of 2 30-day windows to have 1 10-day window the whole year. That would be a drastic difference to what it is right now.
Well, I think kids would think differently entering it, but I think the portal is necessary. Like I said, what I spoke about is a certain percentage, but for kids, I think I go on a little tangent. Is like I think people don't understand, like fans don't understand the loyalty that certain kids have. When coaches leave and the kid's stuck at a certain school, another coach comes is like, that's not even we're not even running the same type of program to what I need. That it's not beneficial for me. So that's why I think the portal is good, because, hey, listen, you can go somewhere else, or you can follow that coach that did recruit you. Because really, at the end of the day, all these decisions in hindsight are business decisions.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I think the portal, like I said, it's you got to take the good with the bad. You take the bad with the good, but I think the portal is necessary when those type of things happen, when coaches leave programs, and then like I said, Big Ten is running back, big boys. If that's not your type of style of game, you shouldn't stay around there. You should go somewhere that fits your style of game, and that's the only thing to where, in a sense, instead of chasing a bag, you should chase a system that's gonna uplift your game for the next level.
Yeah, and I don't know if you would agree with this, but I'd imagine you would, kind of what you're alluding to. When kids go to schools, especially now, when it's NIL out in the open and you have the transfer portal, they're going to schools, for money, but also for the coach and the coaching staff and for that system. Those are the two things. You can argue one versus two, but those are the two things. So if the coach does get fired, like what happened with West Virginia, you fired Neil Brown, the Brown system and the Rich Rod system is totally different. It's polar opposite. Atmosphere, play calling, all of that. So a kid that Neil Brown recruited even if you like him, even if he's good, because there were some good players there, even though the tenure wasn't nearly what Rich Rod would hope for or had when you were playing. They may not think they fit the Rich Rod way, or when Rich Rod sits down with them and like he did with you and says, I'm not going to hand you wide receiver 1 or running back 1 or whatever, you're going to have to work for it, and we're doing the hard edge thing. The kid might, say to themselves, I don't know about that. Neil Brown was giving me that spot. I don't want to deal with this again. I want to go elsewhere where I'm going to get an opportunity. And then obviously the money factor is very real as well. That feels like that's what kids are deciding between, and that's why they go to schools. And fans have loyalty to a program no matter what, no matter who's the coach. If you're a West Virginia fan, you're a West Virginia fan for life, whether you like it or not. It's almost it's a relationship, sometimes a complicated one. But kids aren't. That's not the case for kids and the players, really.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, each his own. I think. If you should have a trusted group around you to make that decision, because it is a business decision to whether you want to leave or not, and it shouldn't just be for the money. Hopefully kids aren't just leaving for the money, but a program that's, because I tell people all the time, this is a child's game to play. Football is a child's game. This game is never going to grow old. You're going to outgrow the game.
Yeah.
So this is something to where you eventually, when you see yourself in NFL, give yourself the best opportunity to learn and get to that path, if that what really matters to you.
Yeah, Steve Slaton here joining me on Mountaineer Report, the College Football Hall of Famer, Super Steve Slaton, Mountaineer legend. As we were talking his career, how he found out about the Hall of Fame, want to revert back and go listen to that at the beginning of the show, and then now the current landscape of college football. You brought up NIL. Obviously, a lot of this is about money right now. I'm not asking you to out, anything that went on then, but NIL is out in the open now. When you were playing, even just what you heard from others, the rumors and the belief of the fan is that there kind of was pay for play back then, has always been. The SMU story, the Pony Express, is well documented, but other schools were doing it too. Eric Dickerson even said, like, you punish SMU, but the Trans A&M is called the Trans A&M because Texas A&M offered me money as well. I just didn't go there. Like, there's money. That's one of my best favorite quotes ever from that ESPN 30 for 30. But how much of that is true, and how much of that do you think is over exaggerated? Was there pay for play when you were playing? Were you aware of players getting bag offers, getting money offers? Was that ever offered to you, etc.? Anything you want to share on that?
See, I left my junior year. I wasn't getting no money. There's no money involved. Like, I honestly, I another joke. I laugh at, like, if I was getting no money, I would have stayed another year.
I was gonna all kind of go into that scenario.
I would have stayed another year if I was getting the type of money these kids are getting. I would have stayed just for a business decision, a financial
right.
success. I would have stayed.
So you weren't. I mean, you didn't get any offers. You weren't getting any financial money. Any wasn't offered to Steve Slaton.
The bag was not offered to me. I wish it would.
Yeah.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't have took it, but
I wouldn't. I wouldn't hate you if you did. I think a lot of us would have at the time, and that's obviously the situation going on now. But
I would like the notice of the bag being.
If there was a bag offered, you weren't aware of it.
There was no bags being transferred to me.
Were you aware of that going on, though? Is that exaggerated, or is that reality back then? It just wasn't out in the open, and there wasn't NIL, so it was more under the radar and kind of dirty. Because Rich Rod even made a joke at his intro presser that, NIL is going on now, but I think that was going on down south in the past, like kind of, referring to the SEC schools at that time. Maybe we're doing that under the radar.
I think you can see a little bit here and there, because I was fortunate to go to different award shows and different things like that. I'm not gonna throw anybody on the bus, but
no, I'm not asking you to.
It looked like there's a bag being tossed around a little bit.
Someone shows up in a gold chain, and you're like, dude, or they have a Rolex on.
They was on a Pell Grant. They got that the other grant that they'd be giving out. So, but yeah, no, I think that's through all sports.
Yeah.
I think you got proud alumni everywhere, but like I said, I will confirm that no bag was tossed to Steve.
No bag was
No
tossed
bag.
to Steve. You have to wonder if you're going to toss a bag to somebody. I feel like
Yeah,
Super Steve was who you toss a bag to at that point.
I
But
get a
Steve Slaton didn't get a bag. You should get a bag, and you alluded to it. So you eventually got a little bit of a bag, and you did go to the NFL. You did leave your eligibility. You did leave a little early to go to the NFL. That at the time was a very controversial decision because in addition to Rich Rod leaving, the players kind of said and felt that maybe if you were still there, the team maybe could have, went all the way that next following season. Pat White still had more time. He was still there, McAfee as well, and some of the others. You did go, and that's your own individual story and your own individual career, and you went to the NFL and you were there for a little bit of time there with Houston. Do you have any regrets in leaving early? You mentioned it already, so it sounds definitely like if there was NIL at the time, maybe you wouldn't have left early and you would have completed your eligibility because you at the time you would have then been getting paid, whether it's a bag or not. You would have been getting some money if there was NIL then. And is there anything about that entire situation that fans maybe don't know about that? Because there were fans at that point that were kind of mad at you. That was a rough period, and that's all calmed down now. But
yeah.
that's a what if story in Mountaineer history for sure. Kind of an undercard to the Rich Rod exit that Steve Slaton did leave a year of eligibility, on
Well,
the field.
like I spoke about earlier, it's a business decision. For
Yeah.
me, we were on the doorsteps of the national championship.
Right.
Realistically, we weren't getting back there to where we went to Sugar Bowl, we went to Gator Bowl, we went to Fiesta Bowl, and the
Yeah.
only thing to accomplish was a national championship. And for me, that business decision was, I had a child at that point in time, so I had a mouth to feed. So that was best for me and my family. That was
Yeah.
the other decision. Well, one of the biggest parts of the decision of leaving, because I gotta go be a man. I gotta go provide for my family. So I think that I don't think many people know about that or know I had a child, but it's like that was a big reason of me leaving because there was no other thing to another notch to knot on my belt. And
Yeah.
even funny about that is that the knock on me from for teams is that I had too much tape.
Too much tape.
I had too much tape.
You heard
So
that from NFL teams. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, so I had too much tape to where you could see your flaws, which as a young.
Okay. Okay.
What I mean by too much tape was that you could see these flaws I had that
Yeah.
they
Makes
didn't
sense. Okay.
they didn't know if I could block or not. But in
Okay.
my class of what 12, 12 people taking, I think I was the 12th running back. So it was
Yeah.
12 different people, but they had a good junior year. But it's like I've been playing since my freshman, sophomore, junior year. So
Yeah.
the tape was you can critique me. It's all different types of.
So you thought maybe your value would go down with one more year of college football, even
Yeah, it
if
would
you didn't have a kid, maybe it would hurt your value.
it would hurt my value unless I'd had like 2,000 yards. But
Well, you never know. You wouldn't ever want to discount the opportunity there for Super Steve to
yeah,
churn some yards. But that's definitely interesting. And yeah, and I'm a father, and I think anyone can kind of get that. You definitely make different decisions when you have a mouth to feed, and you have multiple children right now. So that makes sense for sure. Maybe fans at that time probably didn't know that. So that's definitely interesting. Now, you had time in the NFL. The Texans did take you. Why didn't your NFL career become Pro Football Hall of Fame? Why didn't your college career send you on a path that allowed you to make multiple Pro Bowls, have success, 10,000 yards? Why didn't you enjoy the NFL success that people maybe thought, West Virginia fans thought you were going to enjoy that wish you did? But that just didn't happen for you in the NFL, even though you were a Hall of Famer in college.
first, no excuses. I think injuries derailed me a little bit, but one thing my coach told me, Gary Kubiak, is opportunities.
Yeah.
Opportunities create situations to where the next guy's up, to where injuries doesn't keep your starting position. So a young man, Aaron Foster, who's a hell of a running back. I've had
100%.
him to where
Yep.
he was amazing. Like I trained with him. The work he put in, definitely, the success he had in NFL was his. I would say second is probably picking Miami. I shouldn't have went to Miami. Should have went somewhere else. But
Okay.
yeah, I should have went somewhere else. But no, it's
Is that because you were blocked by a elite running back, or why do you say that?
Money.
Okay. No, I mean that's a
When
fair reason.
somebody's getting paid a lot of money, they're supposed to be on the field.
That's true.
Yeah. So there's a few people that are getting paid a little bit more than me that need to play. So
yeah, no, that's decisions that people make for sure. That a franchise is paying somebody, they gave a lot for somebody. Yeah.
But no, that's wasn't in my my fairy tale, my story tale, whatever you want to call it, chapter of my life. Yeah. That that's not what God had presented for me to be that. But I definitely enjoyed it. It was a goal, a life goal that I made since I was 10 years old to be in the NFL, and I made that dream come true. So I can never speak ill, speak bad, but I made my dreams come true.
You definitely did. I mean, even to get there is phenomenal, and you're a College Football Hall of Famer, definitely deserving of that. And the NFL is very, very, very difficult, and a lot of it is opportunity. I mean, that's for quarterbacks, running backs, any position on the field. It is opportunity. You got to be in the right situation, the right system. Sometimes you are blocked by guys. Sometimes maybe somebody's invested in someone that you think you're better than, but because a general manager that may have got fired made a poor decision that they can't get the guy off the roster, they got to keep giving him opportunities. Otherwise, you're throwing money in the garbage can. So that all goes on. And yeah, that didn't lie to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer, but you're a Hall of Famer nonetheless. Well, I know a little bit of what you've been up to, obviously, but what have you been up to since your NFL career ended, for any West Virginia fan or any fan in general who's not aware? It's been a while for sure since you last played in the NFL and anyone actually saw you play football. I know you did a podcast. You're doing a podcast with Matty Stout there, the Burning Couch Pod, and had success as a chef, I believe. So what have you been up to?
Yeah, no, that was, a beautiful introduction. But yeah, no, I went to culinary school. It's one of those things that's been part of my life for a long time, just cooking. And, really, if you have a second chance to pick a career, you got to do what you love to do, that you want to for, day in and day out. So, I'm currently still a private chef, currently daddy of all, homework daddy.
Hall of Fame daddy.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things to where I still enjoy cooking. I still enjoy cooking for people, catering and doing those things. But I was my full-time job is being a dad, doing the bus pickups, basketball games, etc., etc.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So what are your, in terms of what your kids, because now that at least one is older now, Noah Devine's son was recruited and then it was at Jacksonville State. I mean, your kids playing sports at all? Like, are they going to go down a path and try to duplicate the success of their dad on the field?
That's kind of funny. My middle son, my oldest son, he doesn't play sports.
Okay.
But he just turned 16, so he plays basketball. He's pretty good, and
okay.
he's thinking about playing football this year. And I was like, you know what? Let me go bring the football out of the closet, pump it up, and see if you can I'll catch it now. You say you want to play this game. I was like, this is different. You dribble in the air conditioner. This ain't no air conditioner.
Yeah, you got to make sure he's hard edge.
Definitely, I feel like if he come to, like, I try not to be a helicopter parent. I just some things that I know about sports to where it's like I'm not forcing him to do nothing because I don't want to kill the love of the game that you have, that as a child you're supposed to internally develop. But if you come to football, it's going to be a different story.
It definitely is a different story here. Steve Slaton, Mountaineer Report, WVSN. I do want to get you out of here with what's going on right now with the WVU football program. They're dealing with a transition, and it is a blast from the past to your former coach and Rich Rodriguez. I know we talked to you at that time and you were definitely endorsing him coming back as the head coach. I know you talked on your pod, as I said, with Matty Stout about your thoughts on the Neil Brown tenure. You were always trying to walk the line and not, you respect a coach, but obviously it wasn't the success that you'd want the program to enjoy. Rich Rod is now back. Anything you can share in any conversation you've had with Rich Rod since he's been announced back as the head coach? He put that video out to congratulate you, but is there anything else you guys have talked about? Any conversation there? Your thoughts on Rich Rod coming back? Anything else you want to give? And can we see Steve Slaton at a game this season in Morgantown?
I did speak to Rich Rod. He told me I got the red carpet being rolled out. But no, I think, like I said, I do appreciate Neil Brown's tenure, but me personally, I've never been through Neil Brown's system. So I can only speak to Rich Rod because I know what was taken or not taken, but what you had to give to be that type of player. So that's why I support him so much, because if he brings that same tenacity to these players to where there's going to be games to where you can find an extra level of motivation to make a play because you're not going to be tired. You're going to be in shape and you're running Indian tempo or Indian jet tempo to where the other team's going to be tired than you. So that's one of my biggest reasons of supporting Rich Rod. But he does believe in the guys that are playmakers. Like I said, I say for myself to where I was fourth on the depth chart. He gave me opportunity and let me run with my opportunity. So if a guy makes a play and can be beneficial to the team, that Rich Rod's going to fully develop and believe in.
Do you have a message to any of the current players? Because the roster being put together. There are some current players that are still carryovers from Neil Brown. There obviously are some newcomers coming in. They got 25 portal commits as we're speaking now. And there are some fans concerned and even national media concerned that this team is not good enough yet to win right away when Rich Rod is put it out there. They want to win right away. He had to undergo a 3-8 season when he first started at West Virginia before, but I don't think the fan base, the program, or anyone really can put up with that now. So there is pressure to win early. What message do you have for the current players that are still there, that are trying to do this hard edge thing, that they could dip out in the spring portal, that second portal window would be open for them, and fans that are concerned this team isn't getting the national love? They're seeing the national ranks and they're not excited, and maybe as they're having that tempered because they're worried about the team.
Yeah. I would say first, I think for Rich Rod's first period of time, it took him some time to get the guys that he wanted in his system to fit. So I would say time around, expect the same thing. Give him that same grace. But I actually did speak to Jaheim White about it, and he's excited that Chad Scott's still back there. I talked to him. I didn't get a chance to talk to CJ, but I wish him the best in his endeavors at Ohio State. But I think Jaheim, the seasons he's had, I think this year, I think the system fits him perfectly. I think to where he's going to put up the numbers that he really does want to. So for even for the fans, it's just give it time, give it to where this is a whole different recruiting class, and you might, like I said, the hard nodes or hard edge things, you might see kids that don't want to be there. They might leave because of these workouts. I think they started working out yesterday. So you might, but it's not for everybody. Like this type of style, this type of discipline, it's not for everybody. But there's people out there that can fit this system. And I think Rich Rod, I think the beautiful thing he said is that he's a better coach today than he was last year or 10 years ago. So if he's keeping that mentality, he's understanding how to change, how to keep up with the times with these kids, because these kids are different than they were before. I think we have a lot to look forward to.
Jaheim's freshman season, he was compared to you a little bit. Now, obviously, that's a really, really high bar, but he was doing some things that the program hadn't seen since you. So your name had been thrown out there. And I know that he wasn't, because he didn't grow up a West Virginia fan, he wasn't as familiar with you at that time. I'm sure he is now. I'm sure he's been told a lot more about you now. Was that conversation before or after he committed to return, if you could say?
It was before. It was
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
I don't know yet, to one of those things where I just
Yeah.
want, like I said, I'll always sing Rich Rod's praises because of, how my career panned out and how the chances I got to where I understand that, a guy like him, even watching this film, is that he's a special kid, that this system, this conditioning, this style of play can suit you to where, don't go to the unknown. You can stay to, to the proven.
Yeah, 100% for sure. Steve, I definitely appreciate the time. Congrats again. I'm going to have to get myself to Vegas to celebrate you the right way next year as well. I know you're bringing you are bringing your family, and the program's going to be there to support you for sure. Definitely got to, red carpet's out. I'm sure they're going to be trying to get you to a game and do a whole celebration and all that honoring you. So can't wait to find out when that's going to be. That'd be your first game in person in a while, right?
Yeah, the last game, maybe since I got inducted, maybe to the West Virginia Hall
I
of Fame.
think you might have went to the game at Houston, which obviously didn't go that well, right? Or did you not go to that?
That was
At Houston, yeah. But
losing,
in Morgantown, this is the first in a while.
losing to Dana.
Yeah. That didn't go well at the end there, no. But in Morgantown, you go into a game in Morgantown will definitely be that definitely is going to be wild for sure, and going to lead into your Hall of Fame induction at the end of Rich Rod's first season back as head coach. So again, congrats, Steve.
Thank you.
Definitely be talking to you again sometime soon, man.
Definitely. All right, brother. Take it easy. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. Have a good day.
Dude.
Super Steve Slaton, the WVU Sports Hall of Famer, the WVU legend, and now college football Hall of Famer. Look up the numbers if you don't know. Now you know, but also watch the videos. Go to YouTube, check out some highlights if you don't know. If you just want to see the numbers, you need to see more. You need to watch those highlights. You need to really know the story. We only got a snippet here on this show, but I think he did share some things that maybe people didn't fully know. He admitted he considered transferring out, even at that point when you had to sit out because he wasn't playing. He said his family would have gotten his ear. You like to believe that, but the portal would have made that decision a lot easier back then, so you never know. He says he didn't get a bag, didn't get an NIL bag. No one offered Steve Slaton a bag. No one dropped off a bag of money to him. I don't know what they were thinking. They probably should have. People always speculate. The SEC schools especially tried to lure Pat White out with money, tried to lure Steve Slaton out with money. Steve says not him. Obviously, he stayed. He does have the regret of leaving a year early. Feels like he capped out his career anyway, and also told us it was not just about looking for that money, and it definitely was about the money, which you can get and understand. He had a child already that he had to provide for. He now has multiple children, and he was told by an NFL team that, hey, you have too much film. You have too much film. So getting more film may not have been a benefit to him, even if he didn't have a child to provide for. That's interesting. That's a part of that I don't think I heard before. And then obviously very supportive of Rich Rod return. He did talk to Jaheim White, helped convince him because that was before his commitment. That's a big deal as well. Definitely a lot here for sure. And I could talk to Steve for hours. Been on his show. Definitely hope to get back there with him and Maddie Stout, and hope to have some food that Steve prepares. I never had a meal prepared by Steve Slaton, but he's going to come back and people are going to make him some food and celebrate him. I almost wish he was cooking since he's the professional chef. That'll do it for this special edition here of Mountaineer Report on WV Sports Now. Great conversation with Steve Slaton, the now college football Hall of Famer.